Man, what's going on, everyone? Today, I cannot even believe how excited I am to do this video, okay? I'm just gonna try to contain my excitement, but knowing me, I'm a little girl, and my excitement cannot be contained. Today, we're going to be talking about the GameBoy Micro and seeing how it holds up in 2019. Now, this is not a still worth it video, okay? This device is 100% still worth it, okay? You need to spend $500, $1,000, $1 million on this thing. I don't care how much RAM this thing's got. I don't care about the Apple A11. I don't care about anything like that. This thing is a timeless piece, okay? Now, obviously, this is not a double I swipe because I can't really do it because I say the same thing about like the Nintendo DS, even the Game Boy Advance SP that I just did. This is more of a revisited video, kind of talking about the history of it almost and seeing how it holds up now. I think I've already made that clear, but pretty much a little backstory about me. I've owned almost every single Nintendo console up until this point, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure there's some I'm missing, like the Game & Watch or whatever that is, but for the most part, I've owned them and reviewed most of them on this channel at some point. And I actually owned the original Game Boy Advance when I was little, and I used to play like the same exact games you see me playing now, like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, I think Zelda, the classic NES versions. They had a lot of Game Boy Advance versions of those games. Now, they weren't the best graphics or anything, but you know what? I liked it a lot, and that's all that really mattered. Now, the Game Boy Micro I never owned until this is the first Game Boy Micro I've ever owned, and I think this is one of the only ones I've ever seen in real life. I do have the faceplate missing off of it, and I didn't even realize you could put a faceplate on it until I bought it, but it is what it is. But this thing came out in 2005, and this was actually the last Game Boy device that was ever released, and it's kind of funny because this thing actually came out after the first Nintendo DS, so the original one, the one that looked ugly. I think you can see it on this video at some point. This actually came out after that, so it's kind of weird that they would do that. Why would they release another Game Boy once the Nintendo DS was out? But you know what? I'm not going to blame Nintendo. This was 14 years ago, so there's no point even discussing that. Here's the weird thing, okay? These things are still super expensive. When this thing was released, it was around $99. I think it was like $89 to $99, around that $100 range, and today they are still selling for that much, which is crazy. The one I have, which obviously you can tell the condition it's in, is not in the best. It didn't even come with a charger. I think I spent around $80 on this one, and I'm not going to be able to resell it or anything like that. So I figured, you know what, I'm gonna add this to my collection. And to put that in perspective, okay, the $80 I spent on this, I think I spent less than $10 on my white Nintendo DSi you see in these videos and everything like that. I got it straight from Japan. I spent I think $9 on my Game Boy Advance SP. I even bought a 3DS for like $50. My 2DS came at like $40. So it's crazy how much more expensive the Game Boy Micro is compared to all these other devices. And there's a reason for it. The Game Boy Micro was more rare at this point than all those other devices because the Game Boy Micro didn't really sell as much as like the Nintendo DS or even the original Game Boy Advance. And I don't know what the reason for that was. I know there's some like business reason for that case, but it's kind of crazy that actually happened. Now, the funny thing is that they actually made this device smaller than the original Game Boy Advance, and I'll tell you, this thing is actually pretty decent in the hands. I can definitely see why people like this thing, but if Nintendo tried to release a console now that was actually smaller than the previous generation, I think a lot of people will get mad, at least a portable console. Obviously, if you release like a Nintendo Wii or something like that, that's smaller, people would like that. But we're in such a trend now where people want like bigger screens and brighter this and bigger this and bigger this, that if a company tried to release something now, like a device that was smaller than the predecessor, I think a lot of people would get mad, especially like imagine Apple releasing an iPhone that was smaller than the original version as their main device. That would be kind of crazy. I want an iPhone SE too, but I'm talking about if they released their main flagship and it was actually smaller than the previous version. That'd be kind of crazy. But you had a whopping 2-inch screen on this thing, pretty cool. I'll tell you, the screen on this thing is a lot better than I thought, especially compared to the Game Boy Advance SP that I have. It's I don't like it at all. The Game Boy Micro definitely has a very sharp screen, and I think it's even better than my original Nintendo DS, so that's definitely a humongous pro for the Game Boy Micro. Another cool thing about this is actually you could charge it, and like I said, I don't have a charger for this. I don't know if this takes the same as the Game Boy Advance SP. I actually have to check about that. It probably does, but the Game Boy Micro also was able to interchange the front-facing plates. I said that really weird, but that's actually really cool, and Nintendo probably made a killing off that. They probably made so much money off those customizable plates. I have to buy another one for my Game Boy Micro because mine didn't come with one, which sucks, but it is what it is. You know, what am I gonna do, you know? But I think the size is what sold it at the time. I think people love the portability of it, and I can't really blame them. It's a solid little console, and if you want to just put something in your pocket and go, I mean, this thing is way smaller than the phones we have now. It's kind of thick, I'm not gonna lie, but I like the fact that you don't have to bring batteries with you. You don't have to like constantly keep like switching out the batteries. It's all rechargeable, and the battery time was actually pretty decent. But like I said, it didn't really sell as well. I think a lot of that had to do with the backwards compatibility, or actually the lack thereof. The Game Boy Advance, the previous version, could actually play Game Boy Color games and Game Boy original games, the original Game Boy games, but the Game Boy Micro actually stopped the backwards compatibility of that, which is so stupid. Why would you even do that? Like, they actually had to go out of their way to do that, because the Game Boy Advance has the same port and everything, but that could play it, but it was just really, really dumb. And actually, I just found like the advertisement that Nintendo would do for their Game Boy Micro, and it's actually on their Nintendo website. It's so funny. You can see some of their selling points are, it was sleek and stylish. You know, it says, we've taken everything you love about the Game Boy Advance and made it even smaller, yada, yada, yada. And this is the funny thing, 4 stylish hardware designs and more than 500 games to choose from. That's kind of crazy. I think there was way more than 500 games for the Game Boy Advance series, so I don't know when this came out. One of the things was a sharp screen. I'll tell you right now, this screen right now still is pretty sharp, if I'm not gonna lie. And I like how they use the same picture for sharp screen and game library. And here they actually say you can connect your Game Boy Micro to your Game Boy Advance, so that's super cool. And they also say sound choice. So it says the Micro includes a built-in headphone jack, which is still something that phone manufacturers don't even put into the phones anymore. How crazy is that? The Game Boy Micro is better than all the phones that are being released in 2018 and even in 2019. Super crazy stuff. And this is funny. And with the Nintendo MP3 player accessory sold separately, it's one stylish sound machine. Pretty crazy stuff, man. Oh, and they put the specs down here too. Pretty crazy. This is awesome. So overall, I mean, I love and appreciate the Game Boy Micro, okay? Was it the best Nintendo console ever? Not really, but it was definitely an interesting console nonetheless. And if you're a Nintendo fanatic or you're a collector, obviously this will just add to your collection and make your collection worth way more. But these things, like I said, are super rare and they're extremely hard to get. And I've really only seen them sold on eBay. You might be lucky and like see it on Craigslist randomly or something like that. What I would recommend, if you find one around that maybe like $100 range or even less than that, you might as well go for it. I think maybe I'm over exaggerating. Maybe they're more like $70 to $80, but really it just depends what condition you get yours in, because like I said, my condition wasn't the best. I also didn't get a faceplate, but maybe they're going up in value, who knows? So you might want to snag it now, but I'll definitely say that in terms of like a collector standpoint, it's 100% cool. Like, it just adds to your collection, like I said. But if you want something that you can play a lot more games with and it's a lot easier to use, I would honestly, not only would I recommend a Nintendo DSi, those things are pretty sick, maybe even get an R4 card, but I would also kind of look into a Nintendo 3DS XL, even the original one. Now, I know this is like a huge tangent from what this video was even going for, but I've realized how easy it is to hack that thing and like put ROMs on it. Obviously, legally download your ROMs, only the games that you own. I have to say that for legal purposes, but you can actually do a lot more with that console than you can with any other console before, even like a Nintendo DS Lite or something. And I've seen a lot of those go for like $40 nowadays, and I actually bought mine last year for about $60, I think. So they definitely went down in value a little bit. And that's the original Nintendo 3DS, not the new one. They made a new one refresh, but nonetheless, I think Nintendo is doing pretty well now, especially with their Nintendo Switch. But I think the weirdest thing about this whole entire lineup of the Game Boy Micro was the fact that it came out after the original Nintendo DS. I don't know why they did that. They could have easily just released it before, but it is what it is. I'm not Nintendo, but hopefully someone from Nintendo is watching this video and hopefully they can sponsor a video sometime. But that is pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like the Game Boy Micro? Do you not? Let me know in the comment section below. But let me know the impact it had on your life, whether you remember it when you were a kid. Let me know in the comment section below. But hit that like button. That'll mean so much. But definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count. So it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, my mixtape. If you guys don't know, I make music. Go check out that first link in the description. I think that'll take you straight to my mixtape if you want to listen to it. I would really highly appreciate it if you guys could go and check it out. It'll mean so much. Let me know what you guys think. Also leave a comment in that description of that video saying, oh, I'm here from the Game Boy Micro video, this and that. I want to see how many people go from this video, and I'm probably going to start saying that in every other video to kind of drive more traffic to that mixtape and also to kind of get a gist of which people are more interactive to which video. So also let me know in the comment section which console you want me to review next, whether that's the Nintendo DS, whether that's the PSP. I'm eventually going to do all of them, all the ones that I own, even the ones in this video that you've seen, but I don't know which ones I'm going to do first. So I would really appreciate if you guys could leave some comments about that too. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.